Are you affected by the changing seasons? Eamon and Ruth take a look at the growing issue of SAD later. Plus, Timothy Dalton is live in the studio. That's this morning at 10:30.
Good morning. Drunk, bullied and alone. A damning new report says Britain's children are the most neglected and disadvantaged of the developed world.
Lights out, we reveal one hospital's drastic move to reduce bills by cutting back on bulbs.
And paternity puzzle. A bodyguard of the late Anna Nicole Smith adds his name to the long list of men claiming her daughter is theirs. That's all to come on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February 2007.
Good morning, you're watching the News Hour. It's just gone 6 o'clock. We'll have more on those stories in the next hour.
Plus, Robbie Williams spends his 33rd birthday battling his demons in a clinic in Arizona.
And Love is Blind, why finding a partner on the internet might lead to a broken heart and an empty wallet.
If it was moist yesterday, it's downright soggy today. Here's Claire.
Hello, good morning. It certainly was a wet night, but the good news for Northern Ireland is a chilly start and a bright start as well. In fact, much of the western side of the country will see some brighter weather as the rain gradually clears off the scene. It does mean we will continue to see the rain across the far northeast as well as the southeast through the afternoon. Elsewhere, it's a sunshine and temperatures stay at the very best, probably around 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. Watch out for the winds, quite breezy in places. Penny.
Thanks very much, Claire. Britain is the worst wealthy country in which to bring up a child, according to a United Nations report. Children here suffer greater deprivation than those in supposedly poorer countries like Hungary, Poland and Italy. Gloria Piero's at Westminster. Gloria.
Well, Penny, the UK is one of the world's richest nations, yet in this shocking report by the international children's charity UNICEF, it shows that in a league of 21 countries on the well-being of our children, Britain comes bottom. 16% of our children live below the poverty line. 36% have been bullied in the past 2 months, and our children drink and smoke more than children in other countries and are more likely to get pregnant too. Now, Labour point out that since coming to power, they have taken 700,000 children out of poverty. They say that much of the data used in this research is hopelessly out of date. The opposition, though, say that this is an indictment of the government's failing policy. Now, perversely, there is a chink of light here for the government. Ministers constantly tell me that they would like to move further and faster when it comes to child poverty, but that public voters simply do not believe that it exists anymore in this country. While this shocking report proves that it does, and that when it comes to the well-being of our children, Britain still has an awful long way to go.
Gloria, thank you very much.
Time now to get this morning's other news stories with Michelle. Good morning.
Thanks, Richard. Good morning. Robbie Williams is waking up in rehab this morning after entering an American clinic on his 33rd birthday. The star is being treated for addiction to prescription drugs. From the States, here's Carla Romano.
Robbie Williams moved to Los Angeles to escape the pressures of living in the limelight. It's now believed he's checked in at the ultra-exclusive Meadows Rehab Clinic in Arizona as he battles a dependency on prescription drugs. Kate Moss, Mike Tyson and Whitney Houston have all received treatment at this retreat at a cost of $40,000 a week.
If he's in the place that we're talking about, he should be there at least 60 days. 30 days just to get a little clear-headed, and then they're going to put him to aftercare. You know, it's going to be an ongoing treatment.
Robbie, who lives at this house here in Los Angeles, has had his fair share of ups and downs over the years, but seemed to have reached a good place in his life. But last year, he did cancel the Asian leg of his Close Encounters tour due to stress and exhaustion. Since he moved to Los Angeles, Robbie regularly attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings at this Hollywood centre. This blow comes after Robbie's latest album, Root Box, received mixed reviews, and former bandmates Take That have seen their careers reach new heights. Carla Romano, GMTV News, Los Angeles.
Detectives have been given extra time to question a man in connection with the murder of a 2-year-old girl. Casey Lee Mullen died from compression to her neck at her home in Leeds. A man believed to be her uncle was arrested and is being questioned by police. Some breaking news now, and 18 people have been killed by a bomb in Iran. It's believed to have exploded in the southeast of the country, next to a bus owned by the country's military. More on that when we get it. Now, online daters are being warned about scams on the internet. The Office of Fair Trading has issued a warning after thousands of British people have been targeted by online dating scammers. They often use sob stories or make up tragic tales to play on the emotions of their victims before asking them for money. Liverpool and Birmingham are the rudest cities in the UK, according to a survey published today. People living there are least likely to give up a bus seat or open a door for somebody else. A survey found that Glaswegians are the most polite citizens, and the residents of Sheffield are the most punctual. And the most popular stories on our website this morning are your reaction to pop star Robbie Williams going into rehab. Glasgow's the city with the best manners. Find out where your nearest city rates. And does Valentine's Day matter to you? According to our poll, just over half don't think it does. All this on GM.TV and also on your mobile. The time is 6 minutes past 6. Here's Penny and Richard.
Thanks very much. Let's have a quick look at the front pages of the newspapers. That's the Independent, our top story. Britain's children unhappy, neglected and poorly educated. That's the same in The Guardian. British children poorer, greater risk and more insecure. The Times has a story from the front line in Afghanistan. And the Daily Telegraph says doctors in the NHS are biased against the over-65s.
The Daily Mail also leads with that UNICEF report, Betrayal of a Generation, the headline. The Daily Express features the tragic tale of Casey Lee Mullen. The Daily Mirror, Get Me into Rehab Before I Top Myself, the story of Robbie Williams. And The Sun, Robbie in rehab, happy pills, sleeping pills, 36 espressos, 60 Silk Cut, 20 Red Bulls, every day, the paper claims.
Now, a cautionary tale for Valentine's Day. The Office of Fair Trading is warning that fraudsters are looking to make an easy buck out of people searching for love online. Tiffany Royce reports.
Mum of one, Sandria Simons, thought she'd struck gold when she met a wealthy American businessman on an internet dating site. That is, until she realised he was a fake.
He'd said to me that his wife and child had died in a car accident. I felt quite sorry for him.
Sandria's is a typical case. The scammers often use sob stories or make up tragic tales to play on the emotions of their victims before asking them for money.
He contacted me and said, was there any chance that I could help him out with a cash flow problem? My instincts told me that there was something wrong, but half of me felt like I really wanted to send him the money. I just decided to check out some details that he'd given me, and that showed that he was lying.
So if you're still looking for love online but you don't want to become a victim, the Office of Fair Trading has a few words of advice. It says, don't give out personal details, only date people who live locally and be sceptical. Ask yourself, is this person who they really say they are?
That's Tiffany Royce. Well, Sandria is here along with a scam buster from the Office of Fair Trading, Christine Wade. Good morning to both of you. So Sandria, how long had you been emailing this man, Anthony Brown?
About a month.
And he seemed like a really nice chap.
Yes, we'd spoken online almost every day, and
you were
I was
getting on like a house on fire. You were quite looking forward to meeting him.
I was, yeah.
And then I think you actually spoke to him on the phone.
Yes.
And was that when alarm bells started to ring?
It was. His accent was definitely not American, and he'd told me that because he'd moved to Britain, he was trying to pick up a British accent.
Right.
But it was quite clearly an African accent.
Right. At that point, that's when you decided to check up on a few things.
No, it wasn't until he actually asked me for money that I checked up, because I still wasn't sure that maybe English might not be his first language.
But would you have given him money, do you think? It's difficult, isn't it?
I
suppose
is difficult.
With hindsight, now that you know what
yes,
what it was about.
And it was half of me wanted to give him the money because I was worried that maybe I was leaving somebody stranded without any money, and the kind side of me thought that I should do that. But the other side of me, my intelligent side, said, why is a wealthy businessman asking me for money?
See, that's what I hate about these sort of scams, Christine. They just prey on people's good nature. They prey on these, you know, on the feelings that you want to help fellow citizens of the world, don't you?
I'm afraid so, and you can hear how somebody who's actually, we're saying stop, think and think again. Fortunately, Sandria has done that, and it saved her from losing money, but unfortunately lots of people don't do that. They do get caught up by this. Scams do prey on emotions, they prey on vulnerabilities, and the awareness, it's much better to know that it's going on and don't get caught up with it than us having to try and find people after people have lost their money.
And I presume it's a great scam for them, isn't it, these dating services, because of the fact that they know that people are looking for love and they're looking for affection.
Particularly today, we all want a bit of love,
Yeah.
don't we? So it's something that it's part of our basic emotions. It's something that's easy to prey on by the clever scammers.
So what would you say the first thing to do when you look out online? I mean, like Sandria, as soon as she sort of said, well, he's a businessman, why is he asking for money? I suppose the first thing is, if they're asking for money, full stop.
Exactly. Why would you send money? I mean, you wouldn't give money to somebody in the street you didn't know. Think about why are they asking for this. There are obviously reputable agencies and people that do dating online. Ask for friends who've had successes in that area. But don't send money to people you don't know. Don't give your bank details or credit card details to people you don't know.
Just before we leave it, Sandra, did you actually confront this man, Anthony Brown, with what you'd found?
I did. I'm an artist, and I decided that I wanted to use it as part of my master's degree project. So I carried on talking to my scammer and asked him in the end that as we'd been talking for quite a long time, would he admit to being a scammer and trying to scam me? And he said, yes, I am a scammer, and I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I'm not quite sure what you can say to that, but anyway,
No.
thank you. Thank you. At least you weren't caught up by it. Sandra,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Christine, thank you. And you can find lots of tips on how to avoid becoming a victim of a scam on the website gm.tv online. And now on your mobile, text the word mobile to 81189 and follow the instructions. Thank you.
Now you're watching the News Hour on GMTV. This morning's headlines: a damning report on child well-being says the United Kingdom is the worst place in the West to bring up a child.
Robbie Williams is waking up in an American rehabilitation centre this morning after admitting to an addiction to prescription drugs.
And Birmingham and Liverpool have been named the rudest cities in the country, whilst Glasgow is the politest, according to a survey. Now, you can't miss the front pages this morning, full of the tragedy that seems to follow in the wake of Robbie Williams and his turbulent lifestyle. It's claimed today that he's gone into rehab to avoid doing himself some harm. Well, Carla Romano has more for us in LA this morning. Good morning, Carla.
Morning, Richard. Well, it does seem that way. I mean, it must have reached a critical point because Robbie checked himself into the Meadows Rehab Clinic in Arizona after admitting to being hooked on a cocktail of prescription drugs. There is some speculation that after what happened to Anna Nicole Smith, that spurred him into action. Now, and it is a cocktail of drugs because reportedly he's addicted to the antidepressant Seroxat, which has been linked to suicidal tendencies in teenagers. Vicodin, which is a super strength painkiller, which I've seen people on here, and it's almost as though they're on a different planet, and a drug called Xanax. It's also reported that he's been using sleeping pills, takes over 30 espresso coffees a day and 20 cans of Red Bull. That's a lot of caffeine. He'll have been up and down like a yo-yo. Now, one of the newspapers does have a quote from a friend saying that he needed to check into rehab before, in Robbie's words, he did something silly. Now, he's done the right thing. He obviously wants to get himself sorted out. And the Meadows, I think he can expect the best care, 24-hour support. He'll be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. He'll have his phone confiscated, no TV, no magazines, no newspapers, clearly no drugs, no caffeine, no sugar, and an awful lot of therapy. But you know what, he has been down this route before with alcohol and with cocaine. He says that he's been clean for 6 years now, although he admitted last year that it was a daily battle. But I've got to tell you though, this prescription drug problem here is huge. They hand them out like Smarties, and it's not really surprising that so many people get into so much trouble.
It's everywhere you look here. Is it making waves at all in the States?
Is it making waves in the States? No, I mean, Robbie Williams isn't such a big name here in the States, Richard. They kind of know who he is, but not really. At the moment, I mean, all we know is that he's gone into rehab. A lot of celebrities have gone to the same rehab he's been in. But as I said, he has been down this route before, and I think for somebody like him, being a musician, there was an indication that there was something wrong. I mean, there was this song he wrote called The Good Doctor, This is one of the singles in his new album, and I think it's fair to say the writing was on the wall. I think we can hear a little bit of it now. Can you hear it?
Demons and I can't stop them. To tell you the truth, doc, I might have a problem. They said this wants to take you up. They said this wants to take you down. And I took it, I don't feel sound.
Well, you know what? He has been through this before, and he's come through it before, and I'm sure he'll come through it again.
Carla, thanks very much. And you can take a look back at Robbie through the ages on our website, GMTV. And now, of course, on your mobile too. Text the word mobile to 81189 and follow the instructions you're sent.
It's 6:15 now. How many light bulbs does it take to save the NHS? This morning, a Surrey Hospital Trust has admitted that it is removing light bulbs to save money. Well, Jonathan Swain is at the Hospital Trust involved. Jonathan.
Morning, Penny. Well, they may not have many light bulbs, but this is certainly one story that they couldn't keep us in the dark about. I'm outside the main entrance of St Helier Hospital here. Just take a look behind me, because you could be forgiven for thinking that the hospital was actually closed. It looks very, very dark this morning with very few lights on, and there's a very good reason for that, and that's because hospital bosses have officially ordered the removal of every other light bulb in its public areas. That's the corridors, the eating areas, and even in some offices. Well, GMTV cameras went inside yesterday to see for ourselves, and yes, we did find some fairly dimly lit areas where light bulbs had been officially removed. Well, staff think this is an absolutely crazy idea. It's all in a bid to try and save some money. The Hospital Trust say they need to make savings of some £24 million over the next 2 years, but surely there's got to be better ways to try and save money like this. I'm sure that removing the light bulbs, the savings really are going to be minuscule. But Penny, I'm sure it's the idea of some bright spark.
Jonathan, thank you very much. With me is the Liberal Democrat MP Tom Brake, whose constituency includes that hospital, and Dr Hilary Jones. Good morning to you both. Mr Brake, what do you make of this?
Well, it's madness, isn't it? But this follows on from a number of other similar initiatives that the hospital have taken. For instance, they've withdrawn the water coolers so that staff can't get water anymore from that source. They can get water out of the tap,
yes.
That's true. But the hospital have also now introduced for lunches, instead of hot meals, patients are going to be having sandwiches. So this is just just another example of measures that the hospital are taking to try and address a very substantial deficit that they've got to resolve.
See, I think lots of people are confused about this. Every time we read figures, it does show that spending on the health service has actually gone up under the Labour Party, the Labour government. Now, so why is this such a problem?
Well, I think it demonstrates a degree of incompetence that is hard to believe. The fact is that, yes, the amount of money that's gone into the NHS has trebled, but in practice we're finding a trust like my own local trust asking maintenance engineers to go out and remove, in fact every third light bulb as opposed to every other light bulb, but a measure which probably costs more to actually implement that they're going to save in electricity.
So who's incompetent?
Well, I think it's mainly the government's incompetence, because the driver behind this is the fact that the local primary care trust, who also have a deficit, are stopping sending people to hospital, so the hospital in turn has to make staff redundant or have to close beds because they're not getting the amount of business, if I can put it that way, that they were expecting to get.
Right, Hilary, no plans to remove lighting from clinical areas. I suppose, you know, if they've got to make savings, they've got to make them somewhere, and it makes more sense to do this than to cut staff, doesn't it?
You know, Tom, absolutely right. I've worked in hospitals for many, many years, and if you want to change a light bulb, you can't do it yourself as a member of staff. You have to requisition about 8 different people to come and put a new light bulb in. It takes quite a long time. It takes several weeks for a bulb to go in. So you can imagine the cost it's actually cost them to actually remove every third light bulb. And the savings are a pittance. When you compare to the wastage, I mean, this government has agreed a £30 billion computer system for the NHS, which has been a complete disaster. They've now acknowledged that it's going to be a complete disaster. It's never going to work. 30 billion down the drain. No one is saying, hey, we made a mistake. No heads are going to roll over this. But now they're taking light bulbs out. What member of staff would want to work in a British NHS hospital when you have to have sandwiches for lunch in dimly lit restaurants and corridors? You know, it's an absolute outrage, I think, and it's pure incompetence. The government is saying the PCTs have got to manage without any money. PCTs are trying to manage what little money they have. by making these ridiculous cutbacks. How many managers are getting rid of their company cars in the NHS?
Looking at that from their point of view, I mean, they feel that they need a computer system. For example, if you say that that's a waste of time, you know, you can only go on what people advise you, can't you? You can't actually go out there and actually put the computers in yourself. I mean, we've all wanted to throw our computers out the window.
No, you get people to advise you, but then you do trials. You do pilots, pilot schemes to see if it works.
A bit difficult when it's such a huge body, though, isn't it?
Even more important. Well, no, I think even more important. You do little trials. I mean, yesterday we announced that some pharmacies in 3 pharmacies in the country are doing trials of over-the-counter medicines for Viagra, being Valentine's Day, and that's fine. You do a little pilot, see if it works, see if it's safe, but you don't do that with a £30 billion project.
I think one of the things that one shouldn't underestimate in this whole process is the impact that this is having on staff. There are rumours now flying around the hospital that staff have been told that they cannot go sick when they're on duty. If they go sick when they're on duty, they've got to report to occupational health or go to A&E to be seen. I'm checking whether I've written to the Chief Executive to see if that rumour is true, but that is something that has come to me from staff at the hospital.
We have to leave there. Tom Brake, Dr. Hilary Jones, thank you very much. Epsom and St Helier University Hospital Trust has given us a statement. We've removed some light bulbs from the main corridors and some communal areas in the Trust as part of a comprehensive energy campaign to make energy savings and reduce costs. All areas remain safely lit and there are no plans to remove lighting from clinical areas. Our electricity bill totals some £3 million each year and we need to find ways to reduce it. And we're very anxious to hear other stories from you about NHS cutbacks. Text us your tales, 81189, email us gm.tv.
Well, time for a break now, but in a few moments we're live to LA as the Anna Nicole Smith paternity battle moves up a gear.
And of course it's Valentine's Day and on GMTV it's Love Day. All this morning we're asking what you love. Hearing me. Here's me. I love being the first to put my footprints in the snow, to be the first to crunch through an icy puddle, to sit on a mountain and open my tent flaps and see the dawn. I love a hot bath on a cold day with a glass of whiskey on the side, listening to music. I love suddenly discovering an unexpected day when I can read a whole book with just occasional trips to the fridge. I love finishing something and discovering that I couldn't have done it any better. And I love laughing so much that I can't stop crying.
You're watching the News Hour on GMTV. Now, the tragic life and death of Anna Nicole Smith has taken yet another twist. A fourth man, her former bodyguard Alexander Denk, has revealed he had a 2-year relationship with Anna Nicole and is claiming he could be the father of her 5-month-old daughter. More on that in a moment. But first, the emergency 911 tape with details of the discovery of her body emerged last night. Here is just some of that call.
Hi, this is Seminole Police. If you can please respond to the Hard Rock. It's going to be reference to a white female who is, she's not breathing and she's not responsive. She's actually Anna Nicole Smith.
Well, let's talk now to celebrity lawyer Brian Oxman in Los Angeles. Good morning to you, Brian.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
I'm good. This case gets more complex and perhaps more distasteful by the day, doesn't it? You've got another man coming forward now claiming paternity rights. Do any of these men have a stronger case than the other?
An absolute explosion. Everybody wants to be the daddy here. For 30 years, I've handled paternity cases, and the daddy always says, "It wasn't me. I didn't do this. It's not my child." This is the first case we've seen where everybody wants to get into the act and become the father of this child. It seems that right now it's 4 men and a baby, and probably soon to be 5 men and a baby, but in reality, it's just a 3-ring circus.
You say that, so then who in your eyes probably has the strongest case?
At this moment, it's anybody's guess because there is no determination as to who this child really belongs to. There is an emergency hearing set for tomorrow morning in Florida to do genetic testing on the various competing fathers. And the judge in Florida is likely to say, "I'm sorry, there's a California case where this is already being handled. I'm not going to get into it." That is the likely result of the Florida hearing. And the fact of the matter is the child is in the Bahamas, and the Florida judge has no jurisdiction over that child. So this just gets, as Lewis Carroll would say in Alice in Wonderland, curiouser and curiouser.
Now, Howard K. Stern was the last partner, I guess is probably the best way of describing it, and also Anna Nicole Smith's lawyer. He's got custody of the child right now, hasn't he? But he's also got an awful lot on his plate.
He is the one who is named on the birth certificate as the father, so he presumptively is going to be the man who has the original custody of this child. But poor Howard K. Stern, he's got troubles a-brewing. He is a California attorney, admitted to the bar in California, and he's governed by California rules which say that an attorney may not have sexual relations with his client. And he's violated that rule left and right. Anna Nicole Smith never complained of it during her lifetime, but you can rest assured that her mother and her sister are going to make that complaint to the California bar, and they're going to make it in connection with the estate when they contest his being the executor of Anna Nicole's estate.
There's no love lost there, is there, between the mother and Howard K. Stern? I mean,
absolutely correct.
At the end of the day, is anyone going to win over this? Because it just seems so messy. Is it just about the money right now, or is there anything to do with love and potentially Anna Nicole Smith as well?
I think it is just about the money. This is the Lawyers' Full Employment Act. There are so many lawsuits which are potential here. There's a wrongful death lawsuit against Howard Stern because he had care and custody of Anna Nicole. She was sick, and apparently he did nothing about it. She was taking drugs. It might have been that he was procuring the drugs. He's used undue influence over his client to become the executor of her estate. Everybody's going to be suing everybody, and the problem is that this little girl, Danielle Lynn, likely will never see a dime of her mother's estate because the lawyers are going to chew it up before she ever gets to ride her first bicycle.
Brian, it's been an enlightening chat this morning. Lovely to speak to you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's 28 minutes past 6. Lots more still to come, including more on that new report which says Britain's children are the unhappiest in the developed world.
But first, let's get the weather with Claire.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestle Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Hello, good morning. You can see the cloud covering much of southern parts of England and Wales, as well as the eastern and northern parts of Scotland. In between, it's clear skies, and it does mean for Northern Ireland, you're going to see the best of the weather this morning with some sunshine, although it is a frosty start. Now, coming underneath the cloud, you can see it's very thick indeed, and in fact, it's going to produce a lot of rain across the Channel Islands, as well as central southern England, down towards the southeast through this morning, only slowly clearing from its northwestern edge. You can see the line of the channel there, and that rain is really going to be persistent through this morning. We're also seeing rain this morning across the far north and east of Scotland here, but it should clear. As you can see, it's a frosty start for Northern Ireland. At least there you're seeing some sunshine. And through the morning, much of western Britain will see some brighter weather as this rain clears off the scene. It's clearing down towards the southeast. So a much better afternoon to come for Scotland. 1 or 2 showers perhaps in the west, and we can hang on to the rain across the Northern Isles, but generally, look at that, temperature's not doing too badly, 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, and lovely sunshine, blue sky. You can see not a cloud in the sky across some parts of southern Scotland, as well as northern England, as the grey rain and cloud eventually clears, 7 or 8 Celsius, 8 is 46 Fahrenheit. For Wales, then, it's a lovely afternoon to come, as well as the Midlands, the West Midlands more than the East Midlands, where we could hang on to some clouds, as well as Lincolnshire, just for a time as it sort of gradually clears away down towards the southeast. The southeast seeing perhaps a soggy afternoon, the odd heavy burst coming in before lunchtime there, and the West Country seeing a much better afternoon. The Channel Islands, you probably see the rain until probably 9, 10, 11 o'clock. It will then clear, and look at that sunshine this afternoon, temperatures up to 11 Celsius. If you are heading out tonight for Valentine's, it's going to be dry for most of us, but remember, along this eastern strip here, it's going to be very chilly. In fact, we are expecting just a sort of touch of frost. Milder in the west, and that's because the next weather system's coming in. The wind will pick up as well. So let's have a look and see what's happening tomorrow. You can see it starts mostly dry, a chilly start in the east, and then clouds and rain coming in from the west through the morning into the afternoon, and it's going to be a bit of a wet day on Friday. Here's your summary. Get a 5-day weather update for your postcode on our website, gm.tv.
Good morning, 6:30. It's Wednesday, February the 14th, Valentine's Day.
You're watching the News Hour on GMTV. In the next half hour, drunk, bullied and alone. A damning new report says our children are the most neglected and disadvantaged of the developed world.
Turkey trouble as Bernard Matthews resumes production at its Suffolk plant. We ask whether the image of the turkey can be saved.
And chivalrous Scotland revealed in all its glory, Britain's most polite city. Well, Britain is the worst wealthy country in which to bring up a child, according to a United Nations report. Children here suffer greater deprivation than those in supposedly poorer countries like Hungary, Poland and Italy. Gloria De Piero is at Westminster. Gloria?
Richard, the UK, as we know, is one of the richest countries in the world. So this is a really shocking report from the international children's charity UNICEF, showing that of all the countries in the developed world, Britain is the worst for a child to grow up. Some of the reading is just really quite upsetting. It points out that a lot of our children admit to feeling more lonely or awkward or left out than other children in other countries in the world. And when it comes to the hard facts, 16% of our children live below the poverty line. 36% of our children have been bullied in the past 2 months, and our children are more likely to drink and smoke than other children in other countries, and more likely to get pregnant too. Now, the government say that a lot of the data used in this research is out of date. They point out that they've removed 700,000 children from poverty since they came to power, but the opposition say that this proves really that the government's policies are not working. Now, perversely, even though this is a very embarrassing report for the government, perversely there is a chink of light here, because ministers do tell me that they would like to do more on child poverty, but they can't get this subject on news bulletins, they can't get any excitement amongst the electorate, because people really don't think that child poverty is a problem that exists in today's Britain. Well, this report shows that it does, and it shows more generally that when it comes to giving our children the best start in life, we're really not doing well enough.
Gloria, thanks for that.
Let's get this morning's other news stories now from Michelle.
Thanks, Penny. Good morning. Detectives have been given extra time to question a man in connection with the murder of a 2-year-old girl. Casey Lee Mullen died from compression to her neck at her home in Leeds. A man believed to be her uncle was arrested and is being questioned by police. Some breaking news now, and 18 people have been killed by a bomb in Iran. It's believed to have exploded in the southeast of the country next to a bus owned by the country's military. Iran's official news agency says armed rebels were behind the blast. Robbie Williams has been admitted into rehab for addiction to prescription drugs. The star checked into an American clinic yesterday, his 33rd birthday. Recently, a former girlfriend said he needs antidepressants to get him through the day. Children who are breastfed are more likely to do well socially than those who are bottle-fed, according to research out today. A study in the British Medical Journal found breastfed children were over 40% more likely to move up the social ladder in adulthood. Researchers said it could be because breastfeeding improves health and IQ. Now, if you've turned to the internet to find love this Valentine's Day, you'd better keep your wits about you. The Office of Fair Trading has issued a warning after thousands of British people have been targeted by online dating scammers. Tiffany Royce reports.
Mum of one, Sandria Simons, thought she'd struck gold when she met a wealthy American businessman on an internet dating site. That is, until she realised he was a fake.
He'd said to me that his wife and child had died in a car accident.
Sandria's is a typical case. The scammers often use sob stories or make up tragic tales to play on the emotions of their victims before asking them for money.
He contacted me and said, was there any chance that I could help him out with a cash flow problem? My instincts told me that there was something wrong. I just decided to check out some details that he'd given me, and that showed that he was lying.
So if you're still looking for love online but you don't want to become a victim, the Office of Fair Trading has a few words of advice. It says, don't give out personal details, only date people who live locally, and be sceptical. Ask yourself, is this person who they really say they are?
Now, Liverpool and Birmingham are the richest cities in the UK, according to a survey published today. People living there are the least likely to give up a bus seat or open a door for somebody else. A survey found that Glaswegians are the most polite citizens, and the residents of Sheffield are the most punctual. Let's have a look at what's on our website this morning. Your reaction to pop star Robbie Williams going into rehab. Glasgow's the city with the best manners. Find out how your nearest city rates. And does Valentine's Day matter to you? According to our poll, just over half don't think it does. All this on GM.TV and also on your mobile. The time is 25 to 7. Back to Richard and Penny.
Thanks very much. And if you're doing Valentine's Day messages, I'd avoid mentioning Cleopatra or Mark Antony, because a new coin which they've found shows that Cleopatra had a pointy chin, thin lips and a sharp nose, and Mark Antony was a right spud. So, it is Valentine's Day today. We are giving you and your partner the chance to jet off to the Bahamas for the romantic holiday of a lifetime.
Here are all the details on how to enter.
Which of these do you associate with St. Valentine's Day? A. Clubs, B. Spades, C. Hearts.
You can dial 09068 100 100. Yes, that's 09068 100 100. Or you can text A, B or C as your answer, plus your full name and address to 81149. You can also enter on our website, either online or on your mobile.
Lines close at 9.
And we'll be picking a winner at the end of the show.
Here's what's happening where you are.
Good morning and welcome to the breakfast news from ITV Granada. First, it's been revealed that Manchester music mogul and broadcaster Anthony Wilson is battling against cancer. The 56-year-old former Granada presenter is undergoing chemotherapy at the Christie Hospital after emergency surgery to have a kidney removed. Mr. Wilson was responsible for shaping the careers of many bands during the 80s and 90s and helping regeneration projects in the region. A man found guilty of murdering another will be sentenced later. 46-year-old Harry Tandy's body was discovered in Marshland near Southport last June. Liverpool Crown Court heard 43-year-old Andrew Holliday from Failsworth had hit his victim with a tyre iron. The Barrow footballer James Cottrell's been released from prison on licence following his conviction for punching another player during an FA Cup match. Cottrell was serving a 4-month prison sentence after he broke the jaw of Bristol Rovers striker Sean Rigg in November. Released after just 5 weeks, he'll be electronically tagged until the 11th of March. Chemists in Manchester are to start selling the anti-impotence drug Viagra over the counter today. The sale of the tablet, which will cost £50 for 4, is being piloted in the city with a view to selling them nationwide after a year. Customers will have to give a short medical history before the tablets are sold to them. In tonight's football, 2 of our Premiership teams are in action. Blackburn Rovers take on Bayer Leverkusen in the UEFA Cup, and Bolton entertain Arsenal in their FA Cup 4th round replay. Manager Sam Allardyce says their great record against the Gunners, just 1 defeat in 8, shows how well they prepare for the big games.
We're tactically aware and tactically astute as a backroom staff and a group of players on how to beat them. And the fact that we know where to go and what to do to expose their weaknesses, and we know what to do and how we've got to do it to stop them producing their qualities and strengths.
Now today is of course Valentine's Day, and that's the subject of our picture appeal. If you've any photographs that sum up the romance of the day, then please email them to granada.reports@itv.com and we'll show the best on Granada Reports tonight at 6. That's it. I'm back at 7:05. Time now for a look at the region's weather.
Relief for dry, chapped hands when they need it most. Nivea Hand SOS Intensive Balm.
A dry morning with some sunshine, staying dry this afternoon with increasingly sunny skies. Temperatures reaching 9 Celsius, 48 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's 20 to 7. It's official. Britain is the worst place in the developed world to be a child. That is the finding of the shocking UNICEF survey, which makes the headlines in all the papers this morning, painting a bleak picture of sad, bullied, unhealthy children, more likely to smoke, drink and take drugs than their peers abroad, more likely to be pregnant in their teens and end up in low-skilled jobs. Well, I'm joined now on the sofa by Cathy Evans from the Children's Society, and in Glasgow by Jim Murphy, Minister for Child Poverty. Good morning to both of you. Cathy, were you surprised at these findings?
They're certainly a shock to the system. They reinforce messages we had research which told us we were the lowest in Europe. This research extends that, and it compares us also with other OECD countries, including the US and Canada. It is a shock and a shame to have come bottom of that league as well. But some of the key messages in it we have heard before from research. We do know that we particularly in the UK do badly on relationships, risky behaviours, bullying, etc. Now, for us, this is only yet more evidence that the good childhood inquiry that we're holding is extremely needed. And what we're doing today in response to this research is to encourage young people to have their say. Is this reality for them? Is this how bad it is, or what is going well?
This is the internet campaign.
We have launched an internet site for young people to tell us exactly what's going on, to make sure that that inquiry has their views.
And the adverts are all in every single paper, I think, today. Jim Murphy, it is shaming, isn't it? I mean, we are one of the richest countries in the world, and yet we fail our children.
Well, it is a very serious report, and we'll look at the details this morning when it's fully published, but the authors of the report themselves acknowledge that much of their research is historic. It looks at a situation some years ago. So just in some specifics, they identify the real challenge of teenage pregnancy, for example. Now, because of investment and because of what parents and teachers are now doing, teenage pregnancies in this country are now at a 20-year low. On homelessness, which it quite rightly identifies as a real and pressing issue, because of the investment, the number of new homeless people reporting is at a 25-year low. So much of the information, while important, is historic, and UNICEF recognise that, no more so than the area of child poverty. The UK did previously have the largest and highest levels of child poverty of almost any major economy in the world, but it is, by all independent assessment, now falling faster than almost anywhere else in the world. Yes, 240 children each day lifted out of poverty.
Yeah, I'm sure, sorry to cut across you, but I'm sure that, you know, even if some of the statistics in the report are out of date, it is still, nevertheless, a very damning report. How do you think that Holland, which seems to come top in most things, has got it right?
Well, I think what happens in the Netherlands and in some of the other countries that have been identified in the report is that they put the investment in place, particularly in early years education and early years material poverty. Now, that is what we are now doing, and I'm not in any way trying to reduce the importance of the report. The authors themselves, as I say, acknowledge that it's a report that looks at the historic situation in many circumstances. But what we do need to do, I think, as a consequence of this report, is continue to put that investment in place, get the schools operating even more effectively and these Sure Start centres, and lift more children out of poverty. We have an ambition in this country, not just to reduce child poverty, but the Labour government wishes to abolish it altogether. Now, 240 kids each and every day lifted out of poverty is important, but it's not enough, and we do know that we need to go further.
Just very briefly, Cathy, is there only one thing that you can think of which is crying out to be done?
Our inquiry, and that's why we're doing it. I think perhaps most shocking in the report are young people's statements about how they feel. That's where we're coming in worst, and what we want to make sure is that we have an inquiry that's centred on how young people really experience childhood and how we can make it better.
Cathy Evans, Jim Murphy, thank you both very much for joining us this morning.
Well, this morning the Suffolk bird flu outbreak is causing friction between England and Hungary. Scientists here now say the two strains of H5N1 found in the respective countries are identical. So what do people think of the brand Bernard Matthews now after all the bad publicity? Well, we sent Michelle Morrison armed with turkey sandwiches to find out.
Okay, I have a tray of Bernard Matthews turkey sandwiches here, which I have to say look quite nice, but let's see if anyone actually wants to eat one.
Yes, please. Love one. Thank you. Great.
Can I tempt you with a Bernard Matthews turkey sandwich?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're not at all worried?
No? No, it's important not to worry, I think.
Absolutely not.
Why is that?
Because I don't think they've told the truth to DEFRA, I don't think they've told the truth to the European Union, but I don't trust them.
No, I'm good, thank you. I'm trying to cut down on turkey.
I'd like to think that what they're putting out in the supermarket is going to be safe, plus it's probably 50% off as well.
Let's see you taking a bite then.
Yeah.
Well, he's happy, but is Bernard Matthews? Is he stuffed? Have his turkeys come home to roost? Well, joining us now, branding expert Peter Matthews, who I'm told is no relation. Would you take on Bernard Matthews? Do you think you could rebrand it, make him have less nightmares?
Ooh, that's a bit of a difficult one. The brand's facing two challenges, not only avian flu, but the fact that we discovered something we didn't really want to know about Bernard Matthews' business, and and the way how it affects the food chain. So there are two things that he has to recover from. One being apologising perhaps for the lapses in biosecurity, I think they call it, and then secondly, how is he going to explain what's been found out?
Now, I've seen a few crises develop in my time, and the ones that are best handled are normally ones that they put a nice human face to, they explain the problem, they apologise. It doesn't appear that that's happened yet, and yet here we have a man who we all remember from the adverts, who was the jovial farmer. Why haven't they put him up? Why aren't they using him?
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange because he's almost a national institution, and yet there's this silence that isn't dignified at all. Everyone's asking questions, and the longer it goes on, the bigger the problem will become.
Now, they say in the supermarket aisles they can't get rid of some of the products, that they're all marked down, they've got the red stickers on, trying to shift the product off the shelves. Is there any way back now for this company?
Well, you might look at how another personality might handle this. I mean, if it had happened to Richard Branson, what would he have done? Well, the first thing he'd have done is probably get someone to sort of apologise in public, take all the worst sting out of the issue, and then come out in his woolly jumper with two very pretty turkeys under each arm and actually reposition the brand straight away. Say, actually, what we want to do is support the trend towards healthier eating, towards organic farming, and actually change people's perceptions. Then everyone would laud him. We'd all admire that he'd faced up to the facts and wanted to change things. And doing a Bernard would go into the annals of branding as the perfect way of rescuing a brand in trouble.
Because at the moment it's looking like a ratness, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And the longer this goes on, the worse it will become. So, whether it can recover or not depends on what happens next.
Well, Peter, thanks very much for your insight.
Pleasure.
You're watching the News Hour on GMTV. This morning's headlines. A damning report on child well-being says the UK is the worst place in the West to bring up a child.
Robbie Williams is in rehab after admitting to an addiction to prescription drugs.
And children who are breastfed are more likely to do well socially than those who are bottle-fed, according to new research. Now, are you fed up with people being rude to you? If you are, maybe you should consider moving north, or more particularly to Glasgow. This morning, the city is being branded the most polite in Britain, according to a new survey. Emma Louise Johnston has been testing that claim.
They say that politeness and those with manners are a dying breed and that chivalry is dead. Not so, and certainly not here in Glasgow. Glasgow came out as the most polite city in the UK. Are you surprised at that?
Yeah, I would not have thought that. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have said Edinburgh, maybe.
It depends what part you go to.
Yeah, it depends. It's the same as everywhere.
Aye, same as everywhere.
I was sitting at a bus stop and people just talked to me and made me feel welcome.
It's the north as opposed to the south, and I think there's a definite north-south divide when it comes to politeness in society.
Always hold the door open, no matter who it is. If I'm on the bus and there's an old body, I'll get up and give that person a seat.
Very polite people here in Glasgow, whereas Liverpool, I'm afraid they came bottom of the list. Maybe they caught them on an off day. And they say manners maketh the man. After you.
Thank you. Oh. Well, joining us now from Glasgow, Solidarity Party MSP Tommy Sheridan. Good morning. Are you surprised about this?
Good morning, Penny. Of course I'm not surprised. We know here in Glasgow that we don't have our social problems to seek, but we are very friendly, and that friendliness gives us our politeness. We know our manners, and I just love the story about the bus there, because you don't just get someone giving you a seat in a bus, they then give you their life story as well. It's fantastic.
Now, is that polite, though?
Of course it's polite. I think one of the beauties of Glasgow is, although we're a large city in population terms, everybody has a similar experience. We all came from one of the big housing schemes, so it doesn't matter where you came from, you had a similar experience in life, and we're always willing to open our hearts and talk to someone and learn something, and we're great listeners, absolutely great listeners. I think that's why we're very romantic as Glaswegians as well, because we're good listeners.
Oh, it's all lovely, isn't it? This survey did, though, rely on people saying what they would do in certain scenarios. Could be that Glaswegians think they're marvellously polite, perhaps not quite as polite as they think they are.
Well, I think we are not bad at blowing our own trumpets as well, so perhaps there is an element of that. However, I think it's very good for Glasgow, this particular survey. As I say, most times when you have Glasgow on the UK-wide network, it's because of stabbings or violence or whatever. It's good to have us on at long last for something that's positive. The fact that we can smile, the fact that we're polite, we say thank you, we say hello, and we're good for a chat as well. So from my point of view, it's a positive news story for Glasgow and long overdue.
Tommy Sheridan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for taking time out this morning to speak to us.
You have to let me say thank you to you as well, Penny.
No, thank you.
Because we're so polite. Bye.
I'll have to break in here, otherwise this is going to go on forever. Big response from you all this morning to our story about the hospital in Surrey that's taking out light bulbs to save money.
It's every third one, isn't it? They're in certain corridors and
save money. We have an anonymous texter here, someone who's working in the NHS. A Sussex hospital has been told to turn the heating down by 1 degree and to keep doing it every day until someone complains.
As you see, I often find them so hot and stuffy. It'd be quite nice if it was turned down. Mandy says the NHS could save money by reducing the number of managers. The hospital I work in, she says, has 5 supervisors for 20 porters.
That's all from us for now. More on that later. And Fiona and Andrew are up next on GMTV today, celebrating St Valentine's with a very special wedding.
And Jamilia's in the studio ahead of the Brit Awards tonight. She's in the running for Best Female Solo Artist.
But first, it's the weather with Claire.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestlé cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Hello, good morning. It was a wet night for some of us, but the good news is, particularly for Ireland there, you can see it's a clear start to the day. That means a frosty start, but most of us there seeing some sunshine. Eventually, brighter skies emerging across western areas of Scotland, as well as northwest England, down towards Wales, as well as the West Country. This batch of rain here will slowly move off the scene, but probably not clear the southeast until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And before then, you are likely to see some heavy bursts of rain. We're seeing some rain this morning across central and northern and eastern areas of Scotland, but that will clear off the scene through this morning. It means this afternoon you should see some bright skies, perhaps even some sunshine, 1 or 2 showers in the west. And as you can see here, temperatures are not too bad at all, 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, similar to yesterday. Northern Ireland having a lovely afternoon, though sunshine becoming rather hazy through the afternoon. But blue sky for southern Scotland, as well as northern counties of England. Eventually that cloud clearing away from this eastern side, away from Lincolnshire, where you like to see it for the afternoon. And for Wales then, that's a good place to be this afternoon. Most of us here seeing blue sky. Temperatures up to 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. The West Midlands not doing too badly. And then it's this afternoon where you'll see that cloud breaking up across places such as Northamptonshire, Oxfordshire, down towards the home counties there. But the rain's not clearing away from this part until probably around 3 o'clock. For the West Country then, it's a lovely afternoon. And for the Channel Islands, I think you'll likely to see the rain clear probably around mid-morning. And temperatures here in the sunshine reaching around 11 degrees Celsius, not too bad at all. Now, if you are heading out this evening for Valentine's, it's going to be a dry one, but quite chilly, particularly anywhere from eastern Scotland down towards eastern England, where temperatures overnight could dip probably just below a freezing. Elsewhere, it's going to be slightly more mild, but we'll see more cloud come in across Northern Ireland, and that's the next weather system. You can see the winds picking up here from the south. So that's the picture tonight, and tomorrow morning may start on a dry note, a frosty note in some places, but the cloud will thicken all the while, and that's going to bring outbreaks of rain through the afternoon, particularly across western Scotland as well as Ireland. Elsewhere, it's going to be a dry end to the day, but I can't say the same thing for Friday as the rain slowly moves across England and Wales. Here's a summary. Find out what's in store for the next 5 days on our website, gm.tv.
Good morning. Poor, sad and at risk. Why children in Britain have the worst quality of life than children in any other Western country.
Lights out. Why one hospital is taking out light bulbs in a bid to cut spending.
And saved in the nick of time, how close was Robbie to the end before he admitted himself into rehab? That's all to come. It is Wednesday, the 14th of February, 2007. Very good morning to you. You're watching GMTV today. Almost 7 o'clock is the time.
And yes, we know it's Valentine's Day. You'll be looking on your doormats this morning to see what someone has sent you or not. Let's hope they do, if you're waiting for someone you love to send you a card. I couldn't give a monkey's.
I'm not really in the spirit just yet. It's not
You think
quite,
we're smug marrieds now?
Well, you know, you just get that way. Your complacency.
Maybe you do.
How long have you been married? We've been
10 years
10
this
years.
year, yeah.
15 for us.
Gosh, really?
16 in a couple of 3 months. When's the
Oh.
May.
Ain't love grand.
16 in May.
Anyway.
Morning, Sophia. Happy Valentine's Day, dear.
And we are celebrating this morning with a wedding between two very special people who are ready to say, I do, again. Kate is the matron of honour, and she is in Gretna this morning. Hi, Kate.
Good morning. Yes, you two cynics. We're going to put the heart back into your Valentine's Day and into the Valentine's Day of everyone back at home, because Lisa and Jeff Martin, the couple that you voted for to renew their wedding vows, because the story of their love really touched your heart. So we've got Jeff, he's waiting here with his two sons, nervous all over again to renew those vows, and we've got our blushing bride Lisa putting the final touch to her preparations. All we need is you, and then we can celebrate and say I do all over again. Tell you all about it later on.
Nice hat. Good morning, Kate. Thank you very much indeed. If you want to send a message to your loved one, you can do it through us at gm.tv. Text us on 81189. Keep it going throughout the morning. We'll try and get to a few of them.
7 o'clock is the time. The United Kingdom is the worst wealthy country in which to bring up a child. That's according to a United Nations report.
Apparently children here suffer greater deprivation than those in supposedly poorer countries like Hungary, Poland and even Italy. Gloria De Piero, speaking of Italians, is at Westminster for us this morning. Gloria, what do we know about this?
Well, good morning. Well, Andrew, we know that the UK is the 5th richest country in the world, and so it's quite shocking to read this report from the international children's charity UNICEF, which shows that it's the worst country in the developed world for a child to grow up. Some of the findings are really quite sad to read, because it shows that our children are more likely to admit feeling awkward, left out and lonely than children in other countries. And when it comes to the hard facts, you can see that 16% of our children in Britain grow up below the poverty line. 36% have been bullied in the last 2 months, and our children are more likely to have be drinking or smoking and be subject to teenage pregnancy than children in other countries in the world. Now, opposition politicians say that this is a sign that the government's policies are simply not working. The government, though, say that a lot of the data used in this research is out of date, and Jim Murphy, the welfare minister, says that when it comes to tackling child poverty, they have done a lot. Here he is.
The UK did previously have the largest and highest levels of child poverty of almost any major economy in the world, but it is, by all independent assessment, now falling faster than almost anywhere else in the world. 240 children each day lifted out of poverty.
Well, despite Jim Murphy's words there, this report does undoubtedly show that when it comes to giving our children the best start in life, Britain still has an awful long way to go.
All right, Gloria, thank you very much indeed for that.
Here's Penny now with the rest of the news.
Thanks very much. Good morning. Robbie Williams is waking up in rehab today. The star is being treated in Arizona for addiction to prescription drugs. From the United States, here's Carla Romano.
Robbie Williams moved to Los Angeles to escape the pressures of living in the limelight. It's now believed he's checked in at the ultra-exclusive Meadows Rehab Clinic in Arizona as he battles a dependency on prescription drugs. Kate Moss, Mike Tyson and Whitney Houston have all received treatment at this retreat at a cost of $40,000 a week.
And if he's in the place that we're talking about, he should be there at least 60 days. 30 days just to get a little clear-headed, and then they're going to put him to aftercare. You know, it's going to be an ongoing treatment.
Robbie, who lives at this house here in Los Angeles, has had his fair share of ups and downs over the years, but seemed to have reached a good place in his life. But last year, he did cancel the Asian leg of his Close Encounters tour due to stress and exhaustion. Since he moved to Los Angeles, Robbie regularly attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings at this Hollywood centre. This blow comes after Robbie's latest album, Root Box, received mixed reviews, and former bandmates Take That has seen their careers reach new heights. Carla Romano, GMTV News, Los Angeles.
Detectives have been given extra time to question a man in connection with the murder of a 2-year-old girl in her own home. Casey Lee Mullen died from compression to her neck. A man believed to be her uncle was arrested and is being questioned by police in Leeds. 18 people have been killed by a bomb in Iran. Iran's official news agency says armed rebels are believed to have exploded the bomb in the southeast of the country next to a bus owned by Iran's Revolutionary Guards. Passenger flights to the moon could begin within 2 years, and potential space travellers are now getting the chance to see what it'll be like on the rocket. Rachel Harrison is at the National Science Museum. Rachel.
Yes, good morning, Penny. Well, that's flight travel in the past, but welcome to the future, because the spaceship Galactic will start test flights as early as next year and take the first commercial passengers in around 2009. And for the first time at the Science Museum here in London, for the next 2 weeks, you'll be able to have a look at what it'll be like to be inside the cabin. And excuse my rather ungainly move into this, but it's the only way. And imagine trying to do that in a spacesuit. But this is what it will be like. Now, the flight itself will take you around 2 hours. It'll take you 62 miles up into space, and there's already been a huge amount of interest. They've had 200 people who've put down a deposit, and they've had 70,000 people who've said they'll be very interested to go up when it begins, and they're from over 125 different countries. Now, the cabin itself is actually very luxurious. The seat is very lengthy, and as you can see, it also reclines. Now, the cabin will take 6 people up with 2 pilots at the same time. And once you're up there, you'll have 30 minutes in space, so you'll get a bird's eye view of what is below. Now, this is fairly luxurious at the moment, but I can tell you, I would quite like to put my name down for it, but the only small matter is, it's going to cost me around £100,000. Maybe I'll have to ask it for a Valentine's present in the future years to come.
Oh, the boss is so generous, Rachel. I'm sure he'll stump up. Thank you very much. On the website this morning, your reaction to Robbie Williams going into rehab. Glasgow is the city with the best manners. Find out how your nearest city rates. And does Valentine's Day matter to you? According to our poll, an awful lot of you don't think it does. All this on GM.TV and also on your mobile. Yes, I think it's very important that we're devoting it. I think there's people who've forgotten to do anything who are saying that it's not really important. 6 minutes.
You, would it?
No. No. Amazingly, this year I'm sorted. 6 minutes past 7. Here's what's happening where you are.
Good morning and welcome to the breakfast news from ITV Granada. First, it's been revealed that Manchester music mogul and broadcaster Anthony Wilson is battling against cancer. The 56-year-old former Granada presenter is undergoing chemotherapy at the Christie Hospital after surgery to have a kidney removed. Mr. Wilson was responsible for shaping the careers of many bands during the 80s and 90s and helping regeneration projects in the region. A man found guilty of murdering another will be sentenced later. 46-year-old Harry Tandy's body was discovered in Marshland near Southport last June. Liverpool Crown Court heard 43-year-old Andrew Holliday from Failsworth had hit his victim with a tyre iron. The Barrow footballer James Cottrell's been released from prison on licence following his conviction for punching another player during an FA Cup match. Cottrell was serving a 4-month prison sentence after he broke the jaw of Bristol Rovers striker Sean Rigg. Released after just 5 weeks, he'll be electronically tagged until the 11th of March. Chemists in Manchester are to start selling the anti-impotence drug Viagra over the counter today. The sale of the tablets, which will cost £50 for 4, is being piloted in the city with a view to selling them nationwide after a year. Customers will have to give a short medical history before the tablets are sold to them. In tonight's football, 2 of our Premiership teams are in action. Blackburn Rovers take on Bayer Leverkusen in the UEFA Cup, and Bolton entertain Arsenal in their FA Cup 4th round replay. Manager Sam Allardyce says their great record against the Gunners, just 1 defeat in 8, shows how well they prepare for the big games.
We're tactically aware and tactically astute as a backroom staff and a group of players on how to beat them. And the fact that we know where to go and what to do to expose their weaknesses, and we know what to do and how we've got to do it to stop them producing their qualities and strengths.
Now today is of course Valentine's Day, and that's the subject of our picture appeal. If you have any photographs that sum up the romance of the day, then please email them to granada.reports@itv.com and we'll show the best on Granada Reports tonight at 6. That's it. I'm back at 8:05. Time now for a look at the region's weather.
Relief for dry, chapped hands when they need it most. Nivea Hand SOS Intensive Balm.
A dry morning with some sunshine. Staying dry this afternoon with increasingly sunny skies. Temperatures reaching 9 Celsius, 48 degrees Fahrenheit with a gentle breeze.
9 minutes past 7 is the time. Now, this is not a joke, but I do ask the question, how many light bulbs does it take to save the NHS? This morning, a Surrey hospital trust is admitting that it's removing light bulbs in order to save money. We're going to go live to that hospital now. Jonathan Swain is down there. Morning, Jonathan. This is no joke, is it?
No joke at all, Andrew. They may not have many light bulbs here, but this is one story that they certainly couldn't keep us in the dark about. I'm outside the main entrance of St Helier Hospital here this morning, and just take a look behind me, because you could be forgiven for thinking it's actually closed. It looks very dark here this morning with very few lights on, and that's because hospital bosses have officially ordered the removal of 1 in 3 light bulbs from all public areas, and that's the corridors, eating areas, and even in some offices. Well, GMTV cameras went inside the hospital yesterday to have a look for ourselves, and yes, we found some fairly dimly lit areas of the hospital where light bulbs have been officially removed, and the staff here say it's an absolutely crazy idea. It's all about trying to save some money. The hospital trust want to make savings of some £24 million over the next 2 years, but will a measure like this really save them that much money? Andrew, it's obviously the idea of some bright spark here.
That's quite enough of that, Swaney. Thank you very much indeed. Let's hear from the Epsom and St Helier University Hospital Trust. Now, they've given us this statement. We've removed some light bulbs from the main corridors and some communal areas in the trust as part of a comprehensive energy campaign to make energy savings and to reduce costs. All areas remain safely lit, and there are no plans to remove lighting from clinical areas. Our electric bill totals some £3 million each year. We need to find ways to reduce it. OK, so that's what they say. With me is Lib Dem MP Tom Brake, whose constituency includes that hospital, and Dr Hillary is here as well. Very good morning to you, Tom. Both your kids born there, huh?
Indeed, indeed.
One of mine as well, actually. So quite happy memories of St Helier, but I cannot believe they're doing this.
Well, I'm afraid this is just another measure of that type, as well as requiring their engineers to take out, I think it's 1 out of 3 light bulbs in communal areas. They've also taken out the water coolers. Patients now don't get a hot meal at lunchtime, they get a sandwich, and the staff at the hospital are being required to clean their own offices.
I think you've said quite a lot about the state of the NHS there, in a way. I mean, that's a fairly heavy criticism that you make.
Yes, I think what, as your piece said, what the Trust has got to do is they've got to try and save £24 million over the next couple of years or thereabouts, and that is putting a lot of pressure on them. They're taking out beds, but they're also looking at what I'd consider perhaps some very minor initiatives, which I suspect are not likely to deliver very much in terms of savings. It probably costs them more to take them out than it does in terms of saving the electricity bill.
When you go into a hospital, whether it's for something acute or for something little, you want to go into a bright light space. You want to be welcomed. It should be warm. It should be nice, shouldn't it? Hillary, when you're going to go into a darkened corridor like we just saw there, I'm just not sure.
Well, it's not great if you've got cataracts, is it? Or you've got arthritis and you're likely to stumble or fall on a dimly lit corridor. You can't really see where you're going. You know, I know, having worked in hospitals for many, many years, that if you want to change a single light bulb, you have to make a requisition order and involve several different departments. And the cost of that kind of bureaucracy and management far outweigh the cost of an individual light bulb. You can't allow the staff, for example, to have a few spare in the cupboard anymore. It has to be done by the engineering department.
This has to be a symptom of a greater malaise. So what is it?
Well, it's mismanagement on a huge scale. I mean, the NHS has wasted £30 billion on IT, which isn't going to work, and they've now admitted it's not going to work. And you know, I for one have been saying that for years. Heads won't roll over that. That kind of money has gone.
So how is morale in these places now?
Well,
because I mean, we've all had great experiences there. I mean, Tom has mentioned his child, mine, Epsom, which is the other one in this NHS trust. I was born in Epsom, so we all have we have wonderful memories as well as poor memories. But you know, how is morale? How does staff cope when reports like this come?
Well, we've forgotten to keep it simple. What it's really about is about nurses and doctors seeing patients, and if we were able to keep it that simple, we wouldn't go far wrong. But unfortunately, we've got this massive bureaucracy which is getting in the way of that. We've got these ridiculous targets. Hospitals have to achieve so many operations. They have to do this by a certain date, and they have to tick all the boxes. we've got a system of tick box medicine now, where this is what doctors and nurses have to do to keep management off their back, and unfortunately, it doesn't mean for good clinical practice.
I think people will have a view this morning. Tom, I'm afraid we're out of time for the moment. 81189. Please do let us know what you make of this story, Hilary. Thank you so much.
I was just seeing something in the Times actually saying young nurses are taking unpaid contracts now. Newly qualified nurses desperate for a job, working for nothing.
There's plenty of work for them to do. It's just that there's no money to employ them.
Well, the trust can't pay them, can they?
Well, they're bankrupt.
Is that why the midwives weren't taken on?
Yes, and physios, and occupational therapists, and doctors. I mean, it's a malaise across the board.
Depressing stuff.
And there's work to be. There's lots of work to be done because patients need them, the clinical staff, but there's no money to employ them, and that's the government's fault.
It's being turned off at the tap. That's the problem. The primary care trust, which is supposed to buy services from the hospital, buy operations, they have got a big deficit that they've got to address. So they're not sending the patients to hospital anymore. So the hospital have to make staff redundant.
Oh dear. And we've had lots of messages this morning saying how low morale is as well in a lot of these places.
It's very low. It's never been lower.
All right. 7:15 is the time. These are the headlines you're waking up to. A damning report on child well-being says the UK is the worst place in the Western world to bring up a child. Pop star Robbie Williams has spent his first night in rehab. It's reported he's addicted to prescription drugs. And the weather, rainy across the southeast today, dry and brighter elsewhere. Lots of sunshine developing by the afternoon and pretty mild yet again. Highs of 7 to 11 Celsius. Now, here is our Valentine's Day competition.
Jenny Faulkner will brighten our day. Promise you.
Hello and good morning from the Bahamas, where things are as beautiful below the water as they are above it. So to make the most out of a holiday here, you really should go for a dive. But don't worry if you're not a qualified diver. There is a way that you can see the underwater world, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But first, if you fancy a romantic getaway to the Bahamas with someone special, then you should definitely have a look at today's Valentine competition. Yes, by the end of today's programme, you could be the winner of a 10-night holiday of a lifetime for 2 people at the one and only Ocean Club on Paradise Island in the Bahamas, including flights, accommodation and £3,000 spending money to do with whatever you like, all courtesy of Sunset Faraway Holidays. The resort has 5 restaurants, 2 pools, a fitness centre and spa where you can receive a variety of treatments, and it has a golf course. In addition to that, we're sending you via Bahamas fast ferries for a day trip to the beautiful pink sands of Harbour Island. And if that's not enough, you'll also visit dolphin encounters at Blue Lagoon, where the 2 of you can get up close and personal with the dolphins. To have a chance of winning this great Valentine's Week prize, just answer the following question. Which of these do you associate with St. Valentine's Day? A, clubs, B, spades, C, hearts.
You can dial 09068 100 100. Yes, that's 09068 100 100. Or you can text A, B or C as your answer, plus your full name and address to 81149. You can also enter on our website, either online or on your mobile.
Good luck with that. Those lines are only open until 9 o'clock this morning, so you better get dialing, and we will announce the winner by the end of the programme. This is an amazing experience.
It really does look spectacular. Was you doing one of those to go along and paddle along? I didn't really see that. We'll have another look later on. Right, still to come this morning, Robbie on the rocks. How close was he to actually losing his life? He's checked into the rehab centre now. We hope he's going to be all right.
Poor Robbie. So many people love him, and yet he probably feels like the most lonely man in the world right now.
There's so much fame and fortune just costing everybody so dear. Anna Nicole Smith earlier this week we'll be talking about later on. Be careful what you aim for, really.
Right, on the most romantic day of the year, here's the, oh no, he said the
That's
Rude
a
Doctor
beautiful
then.
name. It's a lovely name.
The Love Doctor, Sam Van Rude.
The Love Doctor. Hello from Gay Paris. One of the most romantic cities in the world. Yes, love is in the air so much that a staggering 1/3 of visitors say that romance is the biggest reason for their trip to Paris. In fact, there are thousands of wedding proposals every single year at the Eiffel Tower. And it was right here that Tom Cruise got down on one knee and declared his love to Katie Holmes. If romance is on your mind, what do salmon, mushrooms and chocolate have in common? Well, they're all meant to be aphrodisiacs. And in the 19th century, 3 courses of asparagus were served to bridegrooms due to its aphrodisiac powers. And if that doesn't take your fancy, you can always stick to the French drink of love. It's known for creating a warm glow to your body. And drunk in moderation, it can really get you in the mood.
Booty shakers anywheres, a common side effect of Match.com, sponsor of The Love Doctor.
Hello again, lovely to see you on this Wednesday morning. Just have a look at the mirror this morning and the sun. There you go, Robbie Williams on the front of the mirror. That's an exclusive. And there's another exclusive in the sun, which means neither of them are, but they're both talking about Robbie. Happy pills, sleeping pills, 36 espressos, 60 silk cut, 20 Red Bulls every day for Robbie, according to the Sun. Let's cross to LA now. Carla's there. Carla, what have you managed to find out from there? Because that is where Robbie lives now, in LA.
Yeah, he does, Fiona. You know, it's just really sad because I met up with Robbie probably about 6 months ago. I bumped into him and had a chat with him about 6 months ago. And everybody wanted to have a piece of him when I was talking to him. And he just looked really sad. I remember leaving that night thinking, you know what, he's just not right. Well, clearly it's all come out in the wash now. He's checked himself on his 33rd birthday into the Meadows Rehab Clinic in Arizona after admitting to being hooked on a cocktail of prescription drugs. A lot of speculation that is saying that what happened to Anna Nicole Smith kind of spurred him into action. What a cocktail it is, Fiona, because reportedly he's addicted to the antidepressant Seroxat, which has been linked to suicidal tendencies with teenagers. A drug called Vicodin, it's a super strength painkiller. I've seen a lot of people out here take it, and it is like they're on a different planet. A drug called Xanax, as you said, you mentioned the sleeping pills, the Red Bull, all those espressos. He must have been going up and down like a yo-yo. Now, one of the newspapers has a quote from a friend of his saying that he needed to check himself in because, in Robbie's words, he was worried that he might do something silly. He has done the right thing. At least he's getting himself some help, and the Meadows is an excellent place for that. 24-hour support. He's going to have no phone, no TV, no newspapers, no magazines, no caffeine, no sugar, and certainly no drugs. And I know they're going to have a family week as well. I think his mum and some of his family will no doubt be coming out for that. But you know what? He has been down this route before, as we know. He was addicted to alcohol and cocaine. He said that he had been clean for 6 years, but obviously he's taken a bit of a turn for the worse with these prescription drugs. But can I just say, Fiona, and I think you'll probably know this as well, out here, they hand out these really strong prescription drugs as though they're Smarties. So you end up in a real catch-22. It's incredibly difficult to get out of it.
Well, also, you can get them on the internet and all over the place now, can't you? So it is really hard. But you spoke to someone who has treated people, didn't you?
Yeah, Marty Bremer, he said that, like I said, I mean, it's just such a vicious circle, because the minute you get hooked on these prescription drugs, I mean, you think they're safe because they're helping you deal with whatever problems you've got, but they are so hard to get off, and it is a daily battle, and Robbie himself has admitted that he is having a daily battle.
If he's in the place that we're talking about, he should be there at least 60 days. 30 days just to get a little clear-headed, and then they're going to put him into aftercare. You know, it's going to be an ongoing treatment.
And of course, Carla, his last album, anyone who listened to that will have come across the track Good Doctor, which tells us something about what was going on in his mind.
Well, of course, I mean, Fiona, he's a musician, and like most musicians, I guess, that they write what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and this song definitely had the writing on the wall. I think we've got a little bit of it for you to listen to.
Got all these demons and I can't stop them. To tell you the truth, doc, I might have a problem. They said this wants to take you up. They said this wants to take you down. And I took
Well, you know what? He's such a lovely guy. He's done so incredibly well, and it just shows you it doesn't matter how well you've done, how much money you've got, how much fame you've got. When you've got problems, you've got problems. He's confronted his demons in his music there. Now he's got to do it for real. He's been through this and come through it before, Fiona, so let's hope he comes through it again.
Yeah, I was trawling around radio stations yesterday while I was doing something else, and the number of people who are phoning in to wish him well. And yet it doesn't really mean anything when you feel so alone, does it really?
Depressed. I mean, just depressed. He has admitted to suffering from depression before, and it's an awful thing. And he was obviously trying to take all these drugs to make himself feel better. I think he just feels very empty and alone, and that is a huge battle and a lot of suffering.
All right, Carla, thanks very much for that. Thank you. You can take a look back at Robbie through the ages, all on our website, to see him when he was enjoying himself. He just finished the world tour as well, didn't he, not so long ago?
Well, did he finish that early because he was supposed to be suffering from exhaustion or whatever excuse was made at the time? He was going to go off to Malaysia and Singapore, and the Asian leg of the tour, he just said no. So at least he's recognised his problem. With a bit of luck, he can arrest it again. But what a way to celebrate your 33rd birthday.
Well, his mum said it's the best present he could have given himself.
She's on the way out there, isn't she? She's going to go and see him and learn some support as well. That's good. OK, let's see if we can brighten things up a little bit here. 7:28, the weather with Claire.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestlé cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Hello there. Well, bright weather this morning for Ireland as well as some parts of western Scotland. You can see here generally across much of Britain, lots of cloud and also some outbreaks of rain. The rain heavy in places through this morning, particularly across central southern England up towards the Midlands. It will eventually clear out the way, but it will be a slow process across the far southeast. Elsewhere for Wales, the West Country, you should see some brighter weather as we head through the morning, as well as northwest England, western Scotland. We're still seeing some rain across the far north and east of Scotland, but through the afternoon it will tend to clear away, although we could linger on across the Northern Isles there. But generally speaking, look at this, not too bad at all. You can see some sunshine and just the odd shower in the west. Temperatures 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, lovely in the sunshine. For Northern Ireland, through the afternoon, higher clouds are stretching across, the mark of the next weather system coming in, but it will stay dry here, and it's blue sky all the way through the afternoon for southern Scotland, northern counties of England, right the way down to Nottinghamshire, but Lincolnshire, as you can see here, will have more cloud through the afternoon, slowly clearing though. For Wales, it's going to be a lovely afternoon, as well as the West Midlands, and the clouds eventually eroding on the northwestern edge, and that means places such as Essex, Kent, Sussex, Surrey, you should see the rain clear around sort of 3 o'clock this afternoon. Central southern England seeing a drier afternoon to come, and the West Country seeing some lovely weather. Channel Isles, I think you'll probably see the rain clear around mid-morning, and temperatures here eventually getting up to 11 degrees Celsius. Now, if you're out tonight because of Valentine's Day, you can see here it's going to be a mostly dry night. We're seeing more clouds come in across the western side of Northern Ireland, but clear skies across this sort of eastern strip, anywhere from eastern Scotland down towards eastern England. It's going to be a chilly old night elsewhere. Temperatures are well up, and that's because of the cloud and also the wind coming in, and that's the next weather system. It does mean Thursday will start off on a dry note, a bit chilly in the east with some sunshine, but then later on a bank of cloud and rain comes in. And this means, well, I think for Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, you're likely to see sort of a wet end today, perhaps even western parts of Wales, but generally it's going to be a dry day on Thursday and rather windy. And then on Friday, the rain slowly nudges its way across to England and Wales, and it clears Scotland and Northern Ireland. Teacher Summary.
For your local 5-day weather update, visit our website, gm.tv.
7:31 the time. Let's get the news. Here's Penny.
Thanks very much. Good morning. The United Kingdom has been accused of failing children this morning after coming bottom of a league table of child well-being in rich countries. The UNICEF report looked at 40 indicators, including poverty, bullying and health. British charities called the findings shameful. The government said it has made some progress.
The UK did previously have the largest and highest levels of child poverty of almost any major economy in the world, but it is, by all independent assessment, now falling faster than almost anywhere else in the world. 240 children each day lifted out of poverty.
Detectives have been given extra time to question a man in connection with the murder of a 2-year-old girl in her own home. Casey Lee Mullen died from compression to her neck. A man believed to be her uncle was arrested and is being questioned by police in Leeds. 18 people have been killed by a bomb in Iran. Iran's official news agency says armed rebels are believed to have exploded the car bomb in the southeast of the country next to a bus used by Iran's Revolutionary Guards. And Iraq is closing its borders between Iran and Syria for 3 days after claims by the United States that militants are crossing into Iraq from them. And a nighttime curfew is being extended in Baghdad. Here it's been revealed that newly qualified nurses are working in hospitals for free. One NHS trust in Durham is offering contracts to nurses who can't find employment, but there's no guarantee of a job at the end of it. The Royal College of Nurses says it's another example of workers having to pay for failures in the system. The traditional skiing holiday could become a thing of the past because of climate change. Scientists think that in just 23 years, the Alps could see a drastic drop in snow cover and there could be a higher risk of avalanches and landslides. But there's no shortage of snow in America, where storms have been causing chaos. Snow and 40-mile-an-hour winds have seen hundreds of flights cancelled at major airports in Chicago, St. Louis and Cleveland, and there's been chaos on the roads. Shevin said that, I think St. Louis, isn't it? 7:33, I'm back at 8.
Thank you.
Right, just in case you've forgotten, it is Valentine's Day today. We are celebrating by giving one couple the chance to say I do all over again. We've been building up to this for a few weeks. It's upon us. Kate is in Gretna Green for us and looking lovely. Hello, dear.
Thank you very much. Yes, dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to celebrate the love of Lisa and Jeff Martin. They're the couple you voted to say I do all over again. So see you after the break for all of that.
7:37 is the time. We're hoping to make it a Valentine's Day to remember for Lisa and Jeff Martin. We've met them before on the programme, of course. You voted for them to renew their wedding vows in this romantic setting of Gretna in Scotland. Kate is at... Yeah, there she is. Kate's doing some work for once this morning. This is one of the town's venues.
Blast that husband of mine. Blast him for forgetting Valentine's Day. Now, if love's got a little cold in your house, you might think that a hammer and anvil is exactly what you need to work out your frustrations. But in fact, in days gone by, an anvil and a blacksmith was a vital part of the marriage ceremony. And here at Gretna Green, they know all about that. Heath Hampson is our expert on weddings. Good to see you, sir. Looking very smart. What's that, Charlton?
It's Gretna Football Club, Charlton.
Oh, well, now that's a clan.
A local football
That's
club.
a clan. Why Gretna Green? Because no offence, guys, but it's no Venice, is it? Why has it become the mecca for marriage?
Couples have been coming for 250 years. In years gone by, the blacksmith used to marry the couples, and the blacksmith used to work two metals together and join them as one. And he also used to forge two couples, well, couple
So it
together,
became
bride
part
and
of the
groom.
spirit of it. But why Gretna Green itself? I mean, do people used to always think about running away to Gretna Green to get married?
In England, in days gone by, you had to be 21. So they all, in Scotland, it's 16. So they all came over the border.
So if parents
runaway
were
marriages.
crushing your love, you could run here
That's
to get
right,
married.
yeah.
Well, we've got a couple this morning who want to renew their love, Lisa and Jeff Martin. Let's hear about their story.
I was at work one day as a fireman, got a cup of tea, was going to have a game of pool with some of the other lads. Halfway through the game of pool, went to play a shot and got a flicker in my left eye, and then next thing I know I'd kind of come round and there was firemen around me and ambulance crew around me, and I was kind of whisked off to hospital. And then the nurse sort of like said to me, you know, I'm going to tell you something now that's going to change the rest of your life. We're going to do tests to see how things go. And it, you know, later turned out that I got diagnosed with a brain tumour.
Throughout all the time that Jeff was ill and that I was driving up to Charing Cross Hospital, I had terrible, terrible back problems. But I think I just kept going.
After the breast cancer diagnosis, they done scans, and it was found to be that Lisa had secondary bone cancer as well.
I want that to be a special day with my two boys and Jeff and my very close family. So it would mean a great deal to me, yeah.
Yes, well, and we hope that it will be a very, very special day for everyone today. It's very important for you to renew your vows, isn't it, Jeff? Why has it become so important?
And although we had a fantastic day, you know, 10 years ago, it'd just be so nice to be able to do it on the actual day we got married. Lisa's dress ripped when she tried to get
Not
up.
what any bride wants.
Yeah, no, so, but yeah, and also it'd be nice to spend the day with the boys and have a nice family day together.
Yes, the boys are here. And what role have you got then, Jack and George? What are you doing today? Walking mum up the aisle. Very, very important. What are you doing as well? Is that what you're doing too? Yes, good for you. What do you think of your mum and dad? Thumbs up. Yeah, I bet they are great. I mean, we want to... Oh, yes, give him a hug. Why not? I mean, we want today to be a fantastic day and a day of happiness. But I guess your situation, the challenges you're facing in your life as a couple, does that renew and make your love more poignant, do you think?
Yes, definitely. You know, I think it's brought us together a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know, with a lot of ads, as a couple and as a family. We do so much more together now.
I bet you do. That's Lisa there this morning. You shouldn't be looking at that. Don't you look at that young man. That's a surprise. That's her making herself to look gorgeous this morning for you, so you can say, I do, all over again. Listen, guys, we're making this a happy day, but look at the challenges they've got. If you've quarrelled with your loved one at home, go and give them a hug. Life is too short.
That's right. What time are they renewing the vows, just quickly, Kate? What time's it happening?
About half an hour, I think. Thanks, Andrew. One of the questions I don't know the answer to, but yes, about half an hour, I think.
Sorry, didn't mean to dump
Oh, about an hour, I'm just told.
All right, great. Well, we'll thank you for that. Thank you.
You know, Kerry Katona's getting married there later today as
Oh,
well.
is she?
Big Bretney Green, yeah.
Busy
apparently
place.
This evening, yes.
Good luck to her. Good luck.
Today. Right, the time is 18 minutes to 8 now. Let's check the headlines. A damning report on child well-being says the UK is the worst place in the Western world to bring up a child.
Pop star Robbie Williams has spent his first night in rehab. It's reported he's addicted to prescription drugs.
And the weather, rainy across the southeast, drier and brighter elsewhere. Some sunshine too by this afternoon, and it's still pretty mild for this time of year. 7 to 11 Celsius, the range of temperatures you can expect. Now then, if you're turning to the internet to find love this Valentine's Day, well, you're not alone. 6 million single people in the UK now use online dating sites. Unfortunately, though, more and more people are becoming victims of dating scams. Here's Tiffany Royce.
Mum of one, Sandria Simons, thought she'd struck gold when she met a wealthy American businessman on an internet dating site. That is, until she realised he was a fake.
He'd said to me that his wife and child had died in a car accident. I felt quite sorry for him.
Sandria's is a typical case. The scammers often use sob stories or make up tragic tales to play on the emotions of their victims before asking them for money.
He contacted me and said, was there any chance that I could help him out with a cash flow problem? My instincts told me that there was something wrong, but half of me felt like I really wanted to send him the money. I just decided to check out some details that he'd given me, and that showed that he was lying.
So if you're still looking for love online but you don't want to become a victim, the Office of Fair Trading has a few words of advice. It says, don't give out personal details, only date people who live locally, and be sceptical. Ask yourself, is this person who they really say they are?
Difficult when you're looking for love, but Sandria Simons is here now, along with Christine Wade, who is a scam buster from the Officer of Fair Trading. I was looking forward to saying that, Christine. Now, Sandria, obviously we saw you there, and you were lucky, but obviously you had a sixth sense there that told you that something wasn't quite right with him. What made you suspect him?
Well, first of all, on his profile and in some of the conversations we had online, his grammar was really bad. And I confronted him with that and said, is English your first language? And he laughed it off and said that it was just bad typing errors, that his typing was really bad, and that he was used to his PA doing the typing. So their story is quite backed up with lots of little stories to draw you into what they're saying.
And yet you almost fell for the tragedy story, and you almost sent the money, didn't you? As you said in that film, you felt sorry for him, and half of you wanted to give the money while the other half didn't.
I actually rang a friend on the evening of the day that he'd asked me for the money. I rang a friend and said to her, you know, I've got to ring somebody because I trust my own instincts, but it's nice to ask somebody else. And she said to me, I think that you need to trust your instincts and definitely check it out. And that's what I went on to do.
Did you ever confront him?
I did at the end, because I decided, as an artist, I wanted to use it as part of my project on internet dating and the scams that go on. And so I revealed myself to him as an artist that was researching scams. And would he be honest with me and tell me that he was a scammer? And he said that yes, he was.
Gosh. And what did you say then when he had actually...
I thanked him for his honesty, to be honest, because I'd felt so embarrassed through being scammed that to actually hear it from him that he was actually scamming me. There's still a little part of you that can't help thinking that this man's in Nigeria and you've not helped him. That kind of kind side of you.
And Christine, that is
Yes.
exactly what they're preying on, aren't they? Because
Exactly.
people who are looking for love are by their very nature vulnerable to these
Yes.
sort of people.
Yes, I'm afraid all scammers across the world, they do find people, and Sandra's done exactly what we're saying, which is stop, think and think again. She saved herself, but there's so many people do fall for it, I'm afraid, and give personal details and send money to people that they don't think. You've really got to be careful. The internet's a great facility, there's some good things on it, but do look after yourselves.
Yeah, and as you say, never give personal
No.
details or send money.
No.
And there are some other telltale signs to watch out for, aren't they, Christine?
Yes,
Scammers.
I mean, these people often play on your sympathy. It's that they haven't got the money to come and visit you. They would love to come and visit you, or they need money for a visa. But just don't send money. They often ask for money to be wired overseas. Just little tips to be wary of.
All right, well, Christine, thank you very much. And Sandra, you had a lucky escape. Have you found anyone yet or not?
No.
No.
I'll be spending Valentine's Day with my daughter, Hope.
Oh, that's nice. So that's true love. That's
Yes.
unconditional love.
Definitely.
Lovely to see you both.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much. And we have lots of tips, would you believe, to avoid becoming a victim of a scam on the website. More on what Christine told you there. You can access the website via your mobile now too, 81189, and follow the instructions.
Wedding vows of Lisa and Jeff in about 20 minutes' time. Jamelia's in the house as well, looking forward to that. And Richard will be here in a couple of minutes to talk about the telly.
First of all, your chance to win the holiday of a lifetime to the Bahamas. It'll be a romantic one too. Here's Jenny with the details.
Which of these do you associate with St. Valentine's Day? A, clubs, B, spades, C, hearts.
You can dial 09068 100 100. Yes, that's 09068 100 100. Or you can text A, B or C as your answer, plus your full name and address to 81149. You can also enter on our website, either online or on your mobile.
TV Pick of the Day is sponsored by Lotus Thirst Pockets with technology.
8 o'clock on Channel 4 tonight. Kirsty Allsop and Phil Spencer. Relocation.
Yes, indeed.
Like a bit of that.
We love a bit of that. We also love a bit of this. Michelle Ryan, a.k.a. Zoe Slater in EastEnders,
Yes.
formerly thereof, Walford Way, is apparently going to be the new Bionic Woman.
Isn't that great?
Those
Good
of us
for
who
her.
remember the 70s fondly, we established yesterday, will remember the Bionic Woman, who every time she did this with her head had, I mean, that was clearly, we thought it was a migraine, but apparently it was a sign that she actually had supersonic powers or whatever.
She was very
so
sexy.
she beat all these American lasses
good.
to the role,
She's
which
a
is
lovely
terrific.
girl as well.
We want to see Cat Slater, don't we, the Bionic Mother. We want Jessie back as the Bionic Mother. Can you imagine the gob on that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jamie Lee
That would
Curtis.
shock the Americans, wouldn't it?
Bionic Woman. Jamie Lee Curtis. And
No,
some-
it was
Lindsay
Wagner,
Wagner.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Lindsay Wagner.
Yes,
Thank you
Lindsay
so
Wagner. You're
much.
thinking probably Jamie Lee Curtis in Perfect, no, you young man, so we'll move swiftly on.
Man. Right, next.
We've got a new comedy tonight. I say comedy, a little bit patchy, but I did quite enjoy it. It's a one-off starring Malwina Banks, and she stars as a rock star who's had a few issues, a la Robbie, shall we say, and good luck to him. Hope he recovers well. She plays Marianne Hope. Hope has abandoned her, so she finds herself at the Abbey, along with the likes of Russell Brand, of course, who's also hosting the Brits tonight.
Oh, that's going to be brilliant.
It's going to be
with him
brilliant. You know, I'm
hosting it.
actually going. Can you believe it? Richard Arnold bringing sexy back. I don't think so. I think I'll be right at the back.
Last time I went, Rod Stewart and Ronnie Wood were literally under the table.
Seriously?
Literally, they were both literally squeezed
I've never
under.
been there. I mean, I'm hoping Tight Fit or the Goombay Dance Band will be there, because
Well,
that's
hope you
probably
get
my
under-
era.
Jarvis Cock is back again.
Is he?
isn't it? Yeah.
Excellent. No doubt he'll bring sexy back. Anyway, Russell Brand stars as a DJ in the Abbey. One-off comedy tonight after the Brits.
So let's hear from...
I'm Terry. I don't know what I'm doing here with you lot. I've never felt better.
can change like the wind, that man. He can change like the wind, can't he, for any situation.
He's so sharp.
He's very sharp. I mean, if you saw his one-man show in Edinburgh, and perhaps you're not necessarily a fan of what he did on Big Brother's Little Brother or whatever, then you'll know just how gifted and talented he is. So the Brits are live tonight. So
they claim to be nervous about him doing it live, but I think that's just PR. I think
there's got to be a delay of at least half an hour. Coronation Street tonight, and child poverty, very topical, hits the street. I think Jason's trying to offload Holly, and it's Valentine's as well. How rude. Here you go.
Are there really no problems you're having that I don't know about?
No.
Things could be better though, Mum, let's face it.
Whose side are you on?
What do you mean by that, Jason?
Well, it's not ideal, is it? Her being shunted from pillar to post. She needs to be more settled.
Well, I'm not saying it's perfect, but, well, we're coping.
But it's like yesterday when I took her to the doctors because you couldn't have her and I was supposed to be working. Then I fell asleep because I was that worn out. Just not sure we are coping.
And there's that suite as well.
FA Cup football on 8 o'clock BBC One, and Janet Street Porter.
So you think you can nurse. Gail Porter, you've probably seen the trails for this in tears because they actually failed to resuscitate a patient tonight. So we've got light and shade on that. On a lighter note, fellas, it was our turn to cross our legs last week, of course, when the circumcision was implied with Janet Street Porter. This year, ladies, she's playing the role of a midwife. What a worry. Here you go.
You try and get the arm and bring it out that way.
Oh my God, you yanked the thing out by... Oh my God, you yanked the baby out by its arm? Are you going to give that child a dislocated shoulder?
Possibly.
I suppose you weigh up, that's a small price.
Yeah, actually, that is one of the things you could do.
You could dislocate the shoulder by pulling the arm out of the socket.
But you would do that intentionally. If you